Hi, my name is Mandy DiCarlo, and I'm going to be speaking to you briefly today about the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. Okay. The Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, or MBTI, is a structured personality assessment. It's a self-report questionnaire, and it was developed by Catherine Briggs and her daughter Isabel Briggs Myers, and you can see them here pictured in the center. They based the MBTI on Carl Jung's theory of psychological types. Jung originally produced 3 dichotomous pairs that he believed described personality, and Myers and Briggs added a 4th set of dichotomous pairs, judging versus perceiving. Myers and Briggs believed that this assessment could be used practically. So there were many different iterations of this assessment, but the modern version that is used today is Form M, the standard form for step 1, and Form Q, the standard form for step 2. And when people mention the Myers-Briggs, what they're usually referring to is this Form M standard form, published in '98. And this is the step that's used to identify an individual's personality type as characterized by 4 basic dichotomies. So step 1 is a 93-item self-report questionnaire, and questions are forced choice so that individuals need to make a decision about their preferences, and this is what allows the assessor, the test administrator, to help determine that person's type. The step 2 assessment is just a more in-depth version of the personality assessment. So step 2 also includes the 93 items for step 1, but Form Q is used for the step 2 assessment. It was published in 2001, and this further breaks down those 4 basic dichotomies into 5 facets each. So a little bit about the theory. Myers and Briggs believed that we have different attitudes and functions that we use to take in information and interact with the world. So we have 2 different functions of perception, sensing and intuition, 2 different functions of judgment, thinking and feeling, 2 different types of attitudes of energy, extroversion or introversion, and then the 4th dichotomy that they added was these attitudes towards the outside world. And they said we either use judging or perceiving when we're using that information we gathered with our perception. So there are overall 16 dynamic types resulting from these combinations, and they're each represented by 4 letters, and each type exhibits a different preferential use of cognitive functions and attitudes. So the theory states that there are 8 different cognitive functions, and each different personality type uses these in a different order of preference. So each type has a dominant cognitive function, an auxiliary cognitive function, a tertiary, and inferior. And this is all based on order of use and preference. So this is a typology-based personality theory. It's different from what many people are familiar with, the Big Five, which is a trait perspective. So a trait perspective says that these traits exist on a continuum. Myers and Briggs said that this is a dichotomy. Each of these dichotomies mean you prefer either one or the other. So you prefer extroversion or introversion. Okay, so there are a lot of criticisms of this personality assessment. It has earned a reputation for being almost the astrology of the psychology field, and that's due to some of the limited psychometric validity and reliability data. So the psychometrics have been improved in these newer versions, these Form Q and M, much improved from previous versions. However, there still are some issues. Research shows a very mixed bag when it comes to retest reliability. And what causes some of this poor reliability is when a person doesn't have a strong preference to one pole or the other. So if someone has only a very slight preference, they are going to have worse retest reliability. and they may be more likely to test as a different personality type in the future. So this is causing some of this conflicting evidence about reliability because of the dichotomous nature of the theory. More continuous personality measures tend to yield higher reliabilities. Another issue with the test is its use in business and organizational settings, so using it to analyze leadership styles or job performance or job suitability or management style. The Big Five has a better predictive validity related to job performance, and the Myers-Briggs has not been shown to be correlated with leadership style. So it is not necessarily a useful measure when it comes to some of these organizational applications. However, it does have many strengths. It's a comprehensive dynamic theory. It explores individual complexities, and clients, especially in a therapy setting, clients may find it easier to identify with and understand a specific type rather than some other assessments where they might simply have a score on a scale. Here they have a specific type that they can identify with and read about. There is some positive test retest data for form Q, which shows little movement across those polls, and there's strong agreement from clients with those form Q results. So they tend to agree with their personality type. People tend to agree less when they have those very slight preferences. If you are more on the end of either side of the polls, you are going to agree more with your type choosing, it seems. And research has actually shown that the four factors, these four dichotomies, map onto the Big Five dimensions. So it may be useful to use this in some settings instead of the Big Five because of the positive language and the theoretical stance Myers-Briggs had that all types are equal and no type is inherently better than the other. So in a therapeutic setting, some of the language that the Myers-Briggs uses, such as feeling and intuition, might be more intuitive and positive than some other personality assessments that might just tell them that they scored, for example, high on neuroticism or low on conscientiousness. So there's more positive language here, and people can use that in that therapeutic setting to better self-reflect. So overall, more research is needed on these updated forms M and Q in large sample sizes to further evaluate this mixed evidence of reliability and validity. And it may be more useful to use it on an individual basis, such as in personal counseling, rather than in a group setting, such as a leadership training. And only using one assessment, so only using the Myers-Briggs, might offer an incomplete picture. It would be best practice to combine it with other assessment tools. So, in conclusion, there are more psychometrically sound measures, but the Myers-Briggs does have utility as an exploratory tool for enhancing self-reflection. Thank you.